Welcome to another episode of a wrestling figure news kind of mood. I'm Justin Kindle, and I'm here with my tag team partner, Travis Moody. How's it going, Travis?
Whoa, that was quite a while after Comic-Con to recover.
Yeah, it took us this long to put a show together, and now we're running up against your birthday.
That's right. But enough moody celebration. It's all about the wrestling figures, and there was a lot more than I thought at Comic-Con. What about you?
Yeah, it was a lot. I would say, especially a lot more from the AEW front than I expected to see,
Right.
which was encouraging. And then Mattel, it's one of those things where they show a lot at WrestleMania and then they show some more throughout the year. And so you don't really have the same maybe surprise element right away with it,
Right.
but once you sort of digest it all, it's a lot.
It is. It was far more just putting together the slides, and you and I even talked about it. We were like, let's not talk about everything, but it still is going to feel like we're talking about everything. But before that, one speaking of my birthday, we did celebrate it with a little SummerSlam. So you want to get into our usual gear wish list?
Yeah, let's get into that. And I think the obvious one that stood out to me was CM Punk in the Bret Hart attire. He's done Bret Hart before, but he hasn't done the black and pink. And I thought it looked super clean. And I heard from multiple people after they felt the same way.
Yeah, and I think this was already on our wish list before he even wore it there, and then maybe the his appearance at the Comic-Con and Comic-Con panel kind of rubbed off on him with this attire choice.
And the main event figure they showed at Comic Con was him in the Bret Hart attire.
Perfect.
Yeah. So definitely getting a basic version of the original one of these, but you can definitely see an elite on the way and maybe a chase. Why not do a variant?
Of course, it's Punk. It's going to sell,
Yeah.
as we see.
So what stood out to you as far as gear goes beyond Punk?
Well, themed with Comic-Con has got to be this, man. I mean, we've seen it before, but it's still blowing our minds. I mean, it is an ultimate, which, we just got one and it's one of the best figures of the year, but we immediately need this one. You got the additional tassels on the shoulder for Cody with the skull crown mask with the wings and everything. And it's just a sight to behold, my friend.
He's definitely going in on this mask for big events, isn't he?
Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of work and a lot of money, but I know they can get it done. We've seen some of the stuff revealed last week, and I think this could be, at least for I don't know when would this be a reveal though, since it's now and we've already had Mania and Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah. You might see a render at WrestleMania next year, right?
Mm, it's gonna be a while. Hopefully he keeps wearing it then.
Yeah. Well, if it's the Mania one, maybe Ringside Fest, if we're lucky.
Good call.
If there is a Ringside Fest, let's hope there
I
is.
know. If there is one. One thing we'll definitely get because they love their Roman Reigns, man. We got the original tribal chief. It's just a t-shirt, but maybe we'll finally get some tapered beard and sideburns that our friend Trey has been wanting. Maybe it'll come with this one.
Yeah, you definitely can hear My Damn Toys echoing in your head on this one, and hopefully they do the joggers or some type of, street gear that we have yet to get from an elite or ultimate Roman Reigns. And yeah, could definitely use that faded tapered beard and yeah, just a cool look.
Yeah, and this could be the one they throw the money at just because they've been, re-releasing and repacking top picks and best ofs, and we're getting a whole lot of Roman, and I'm sure they do well no matter what. And this could be the one where they're like, all right, we love listening to the fans, the YouTubers, the criticizers, and and we have a reason to bring us a brand new Roman because we have this shirt and it was his return appearance, first time as a baby face in a long time, or an anti-hero, so to speak. So I think this would be the good time to give us like a Roman that has new parts.
Oh, absolutely. It's time. And with the new feet mold or the ankle articulation, perfect time to release that figure instead of giving us the John Cena shoe mold that, he starts to do that lean on your shelf and then takes out half of it and everybody gets frustrated.
Exactly.
So any others stand out to you?
Well, I think after it was all said and done, it was quite the opener at SummerSlam. I think Liv Morgan is, man, if she's not one of the top 3 female stars in all of professional wrestling, I don't know who is. I mean, she killed it with her performance. I thought in ring she was good, and storytelling wise, just the facial expressions. Like, to me, we could use an ultimate Liv Morgan. I know they try not to do too many ultimate female wrestlers, but she has the various looks, the laughing one, the smirking one. She could have the intense one when she's in the ring, taking bumps and stuff. And her gear is good. It's always solid. That it doesn't necessarily have to be this gear, but it's toyetic enough. But then you give us a championship belt, and I think this could do good. And maybe at that Undertaker target price of $22.99, maybe if they don't want to see it shelf warm, because the female ultimates tend not to do as well, right?
I cannot believe that target price, by the way. Like,
It's
that
still there. It
still
was like they're just trying to get rid of it. It's not even an error at this point. Yeah.
it still blows my mind, and I think the
Yeah.
Vader went up at that price point too, and then you've got there's some pricing going on at Target that's raising some eyebrows, I think, but back to Liv, this attire, which it feels like it was sort of foreshadowing, definitely has a Judgment Day look to it.
So that
So,
works. It blends in with your other Judgment Day figures, however you want to play with it. Yeah.
yep, and then that championship, getting that in with an Ultimate or even an Elite at this point, will take it.
Yeah. Yeah, even an elite is fine. And the last one I got on the list is Braun Breaker. This is obviously a throwback to the Steiners. He's always doing it, but I haven't given a whole lot of love to Braun, but he obviously came up big in a big win, almost a squash, like a worked squash in a way, totally dominant. And I think this is a pretty good choice of gear for a future Breaker figure.
And not to blow your mind, but one of the looks that I think would also warrant an Elite at least would be the LA Knight in the red and
Mm.
white. That just hit me as, wow, that was such a clean look too, that that should definitely be at least an Elite. And they're pumping out LA Knight figures, so you got to think that that's going to be on their radar as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a pivotal moment. Obviously, a big win. There was a lot of like not quite upsets, but a lot of big name people went down at SummerSlam. So if anybody listening to this missed it, it's one of the best shows of the year. Even like my AEW diehards, and we're talking plenty of AEW today, so stay tuned. But my AEW Mark friends were even like, "Dude, SummerSlam was good." They love the show. It seemed like everybody, if you love storylines and wrestling, they killed it.
Yeah, it was a storyline heavy show, not so much, there were some in-ring moments, but it wasn't your AEW 14 match and, like, 12 of them are just straight banger show. It was a lot of storyline advancement and angles and that sort of thing, and I didn't even mention, that Punk, are we gonna get a bracelet with him?
Oh yeah, that'd be a fun little accessory, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, and then, I guess, we should get into Comic-Con, but how
Absolutely.
how was your Comic-Con?
It was great, but it felt because I missed preview night. I didn't get in till after preview night was done. I didn't get into town into San Diego until, in the 11:30 range. And then I left Saturday night, very late at night. I drove out at midnight, but usually I'm there all day Sunday. Usually I'm there for preview night. So it felt more, and now you have your podcast. I got my channel. So we were there having fun as we hung out on Thursday night, but more like it was more work in a good way. I had a blast doing it, but it was like so fast and furious because we were just getting a lot of content on the channel. So it's nice to like, a week or two later, sit back, kick back, and kind of been like, oh yeah, the first thing I saw at Comic-Con was wrestling. And now 2 weeks later, or whenever it was, right? Now we've got, a week later, we finally get to talk about it. So yeah, it was that hectic. But how about yours?
It was It was overwhelming to start with. Preview night is definitely overwhelming, and I thought that I was prepared, and I wasn't really prepared for what I was gonna experience because I just went into, like, picture taking mode immediately and then found a workroom and just started trying to post on the crappy Wi-Fi that they had there, and
Yeah.
because they didn't even have the media room set up yet. There wasn't even,
Mm,
like, a media Wi-Fi, that I was aware of on Thursday night. So
no.
I just tried to make the best of it, and then I went back down after, an hour, hour and a half, and did some more looking and tried to soak in a little more. It's just that initial rush when you're there and you're trying to take pictures and you're trying to share them and trying to get everything out.
Mhm.
It's a lot, and, I mean, I know it sounds like, "Woe is me, I went to Comic-Con preview night," but it was fun, but like, it
Yeah,
was intense, and, I was listening
yeah.
to the Case Fresh podcast the other day, and they were talking about it as well, about just posting, and they weren't even there, and how, they were wiped out after doing that, and it's like, I feel you, and I was there, and I
So
was wiped out doing it.
you brought up a great point because it's so much easier to cover Comic-Con when you're not there. Like, we know a Toy Kind of Mood is mostly GI Joe centric. Like the Full Force was posting every 5 minutes, and I'm like, when am I going to ever have a chance to post any of this? Because for all the reasons you said, I think overall we did a fantastic job covering it from there. But then it was like stuff like, you had Alex West was killing it on the post, and he didn't go. You had your Fig Heel. These guys are like, because they get to sit back, wait for it to pop online, and just go ham at it. Wait for the ringside post and all. Like I didn't
Mhm.
get to the ringside social media till yesterday. Like, and I have all the alerts set up for ringside, but I just couldn't get to any of the
No.
notifications on. And so I told you, I said I enjoyed putting the show together. It took hours, but I was like getting to fully indulge all the ringside stuff and from other people as well. Wrestlingfigurenews.com and ringside both kind of and consuming all the absorbing all the blog posts, all the pictures, because I had to relive it. It's been like already a week plus, and so that was fun for me. But that's how intense it is. If you're there, I don't. It's really hard to cover by yourself.
Yep, it definitely is, and I'll say I had a good time interacting with the Mattel team, Steve and
Mm,
Bill
mhm.
and Joe and PJ and just everybody over there, George, they were all very cool and they were willing to talk about things and try and explain some
Oh yeah,
things. And then just getting to meet Jeremy Padower from Jazwares and interview him, that was a highlight for me personally because that's been on my list of things to do. And just big appreciation to both Mattel and Jazwares for everything that they helped with ahead of time, whether it was providing a Shawn Michaels Ultimate Edition figure ahead of time, or Jazwares hooking us up with the Kenny Omega for reviews and such. But yeah, those were nice things to not have to worry about, but then comes the flood of, like, you've got all these pre-orders and things, and we'll get into
yeah.
that, but
Well,
yeah,
I do want to touch upon just real quick, give you a shout out. I think you were the very first person to review Shawn Michaels. You did more of a write up. It wasn't like on YouTube or anything, but I do want to give you a shout for being, first. That's pretty great.
thanks, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was cool to get that figure. I've never received anything from Mattel for free before, and it was
Mhm.
nice to be able to have that in hand ahead of time, check it out. I think it's still available. I will say I think it's worth picking up. I really do, and just in that entrance gear alone, just displaying it like that, just great figure.
Yep. And spoiler alert, I think, people check out wrestlingfigurenews.com, check out Justin's review, also on YouTube, A Toy Kind of Mood. I think I was the first person to do a video review of Shawn Michaels, and we had almost the same score. I got it a little lower than you because I had the same QC issues, but we don't have to go too deep into it. People should go watch our reviews. It's a great figure. It's still available for pre-order. So if they check out your review on the blog and mine on YouTube, they can make the decision for themselves.
And they should check out your review of Kenny Omega as well from Jazwares.
Appreciate that. Yeah, pretty wild. I don't know what happened. Shout out to Jazwares, shout out to Mattel. They got this stuff to me really early. I mean, they're both based in SoCal, so maybe that had something to do with it. But yeah, as soon as I got home, I had both of these, and I had a day or two to go at it and add some more content to the channel. So it was a very good Comic Con for a Toy Con of Mood and Wrestling Figure News as far as reviews and content. But now and I also want to give you a shout out for your interview with Jeremy Padour, man. This was a good one. It's 15 minutes, but there's no fluff, man. Like Jeremy, straight shooter, tells you how the business is, tells you he has a very unique perspective on it, and I think people should appreciate his honesty.
Yeah, there are a lot of nuggets in there. We covered a lot of ground very fast, and I'll be honest, this is an interview I pretty much willed to happen. I kind of, we were trying to arrange things, and he's a hard guy to pin down because he's a busy guy. I mean,
Oh yeah.
he's at the top of the chain at Jazwares,
Mhm.
and I saw him and I snagged him. I told him who I was, and he was like, "Come back at 1:30 or whatever it was," and sure enough, we made it happen. And he was generous with giving me his time, and I wish I had a little more, and I wish I would have asked about the quality issues and some staining issues, but I'm just
Mhm.
glad that we had a chance to connect. And we got some nuggets in there. We talk about some parts of the line that aren't happening, the cadence of how things are going to release in the future, how they view
Mhm.
mid card and lower card wrestlers, and where they might fit in the line going forward.
Mhm.
So lots of ground that we covered there.
It was great. It was absolutely great, and we both got to. I almost caused you to lose your seat at the panel. I was just waving at
Yeah.
you, and I was trying to text you just to say, "Hey, I'm here." And I was waving at you, and you came over like as if we had a seat. And I'm like looking around, scrambling, and it was a pretty packed house
Yeah.
for the Mattel panel.
It was definitely packed, and I'm glad that I didn't lose my seat because I sat through the Ronda Rousey Batista panel before to get
Which
to
was full, which was
yeah.
more full than the wrestling one by like about 20%, which is
It
wild.
it
Wild to me.
was surprising. Yeah,
Yeah.
that comic book one was more full, or as full as this, but glad
Mhm.
that I was able to keep my seat. And they revealed a lot. And I think, are you ready to get into it? Should we get into it?
Well, I do want to ask, like, what was your overall feeling of, of their presentation? No figure specific. We'll get into all our favorite best of and worst of figures, but just a feeling on it. I mean, there was no, last year we had what was it? Mick Foley was a surprise guest, and then this year there was no really surprise guest. And then I don't know about you, but those NXT bits went on like a little too long. I think even Kyle Peterson or Trey were saying like, man, they should have edited those things down a little tighter. But I just kind of want to get your perspective on how you felt leaving the WWE Mattel panel.
So that was one of my big takeaways, was they spent a little too much time on the NXT, like, oh my god, I got a figure type things. And you're just watching somebody react on a phone, and you're not even seeing what they're seeing. And I think that that's one minor tweak that they could have done that would have
Mm-hmm.
really helped those and moved things along faster, because I feel like they got a little pressed for time there. And when you've got people just standing there in silence, and it's a great moment for them, and you're happy for them, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it'd be nice to see what they're seeing, like I think that adds an element to it that would tighten things up and allow the panel to sort of move forward a little quicker. um Punk and Zoe Stark were there, and I thought that it was cool to see her get her figure, although Bill told her she couldn't take it with her.
That was funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was funny.
and
Yeah, he was gonna have a heart attack. He's like, "This is the prototype. Without this,
yeah,
we can't make these. Don't go to retail if I give this to you." So
yeah, and overall, I thought it was a solid presentation, and I think that we can get into. I think when we get into it, what it'll make a lot it'll be a lot more clear, like,
Yeah,
why
exactly.
we're talking the way we're talking.
So let's just get right into it. And I mean, the first thing obviously we want to talk about, man, is this guy.
And this is something I've been begging for, and that's the Great Muda, and we knew it was gonna be an Ultimate, and we knew it was coming in red, but we didn't know that they were gonna sneak in a chase with the future shock look of Muda from Starrcade. I was blown away, and I will definitely be getting this, like, the minute it goes up.
You're not getting one, you're getting two. Dude, you've been
I'm
talking about
getting
Future
multiple.
Shock. You've been talking about Future Shock on this show for months now. And what are the odds that the chase is Future Shock? I think everybody makes the joke. They even CM Punk said, "Where's our Gary Hart figure?" It's
Yeah.
obviously not going to happen. But maybe in a main event. I mean, they're building that world, right? We got Howard Frank and Mean Gene.
If
But
if
yeah,
not them, then Zombie or somebody will
yeah.
end up with Gary Hart, and we'll have a Gary Hart figure. I'm pretty sure of it at some point.
I guess the only bummer was seeing this on, it was just grayscale on the left. You really couldn't make anything out of it. You got obviously have a nice soft goods row, but even grayscale for the overall headdress that he has. So I didn't come away from this being like, oh my God, because it's just grayscale, it's trimmed down. Muda is all deco, all paint. So even just looking at the buck, it didn't really do it much for me. I mean, I don't know. What about you when you saw Muda at the booth?
It's so hard with the grayscales because you're like, "Oh, I can see it," but I don't know that I can fully see it. So, I'm with you there, but robe looked nice, cool to see the headdress, but yeah, grayscale is so hard to do, but, you know, read anything into.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to WrestleMania 39 Ray Mysterio because obviously it's a tribute to Muda, so it felt right to just kind of throw this in there. It was nice to see this in hand. Did you have any quick feelings on Ray?
No, not really. I mean, it looks nice. I'm just kinda rayed out at this point.
But even with a Muda mask, I mean, come on,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
looks like
even with
Muda.
the Muda mask, I'm kind of rayed out at the moment, and maybe I'll change my
You-
mind, but yeah, yeah, it was fine, it
yeah,
looks good, but it's like, at this point, like, the repeats are kinda catching up with me.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then
that's a good look.
yeah, there's a close up. Shout out to Ringside Collectibles. We tried to get the boys are swamped after Comic Con. We tried to get Trey on. We tried to get JP on, but both will do the show in the future. So we have a nice guest list after Comic Con. That's one thing we didn't talk about. There's like a murderer's row of guests that we have lined up in the future on the show. They couldn't do it after Comic Con. Everyone's slammed, but sooner or later we're gonna have a lot of nice folks to talk to on here.
Yep, absolutely.
And then there's the last look. We have this was a nice surprise, wasn't it? It's the retirement Muda. And then of course, if you're watching, you can see the Chase Shinsuke that we just got, right? So now we can actually have the match. It was man, he went all out. I mean, if you look at the torso, he's pretty thin,
Yeah.
compared to how he really looks. Maybe he's being nice. He gave him an Atkins diet or something like that. But are you excited to get old man Muda?
Yeah, I think so. My era of Muda is straight up in the 1990s or, late 80s, but I will definitely get this to pair with the Chase Nakamura, and they really aren't sparing any expense on these, I can tell.
No, and I'm wondering, I mean, it looks, for 24.99, it's Legends, it's at Target. Sometimes these go on sale, and Muda's not, in the WWE verse, he's not a super popular guy, definitely a hardcore name and a legacy name. But I'm wondering if it will come with if the face scan with the mist, kind of like we saw with
Mhm.
Ultimate Ashka.
Yeah, with Oscar. Yeah, you kinda wonder on this one being, like, a Target exclusive too because, I don't know how he's gonna relate to the, Target shopper, but,
Mhm.
y you know, we've seen them move through Legends pretty well in the past, and, it's always on to the next one, on to the next one, so he's toyetic. There's no doubt about that, and I could even see, just They talk about little Jimmy in the toy aisle, and I can see him being like, "That one looks cool," you know?
Yeah, hold on to your receipt. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. You We're all gonna want this right away. Hold on to your receipt, and you might get a nice $10 coming back to you. But then yeah, the next big thing we had on our best list, man, take us right through the maybe the best in the world, or was.
Yeah, ringside exclusive Ultimate Edition Money in the Bank 2011 CM Punk expected to ship in November, already on back order, and I I don't have any notes on this as far as like criticism. It looks like they knocked the torso out of the park from what I can see. Head scans look good from what it looks like. I think that this is going to be one of those figures that a lot of people are wishing that they would have plunked money down on when they could.
It was an instant 2 for me. I think the face scan you see in the digital render, more of like the smirk, the more serene face is the best of the bunch, but kind of the bangs over the hair, the blow and the kiss face, when you see it from other angles, I think we've got another look here.
Yep.
Yeah, right there on the right. It does look really good because at first I was I did get comments when I posted this. They're like, "Where's the blowing the kiss face?" But you have to kind of have it at a certain angle, as we have right
Hmm.
here. I think I grabbed this shot from Rinks wrestlingfigurenews.com. But yeah, it looks really good, and I think they nailed it. The only thing is when it comes to the hands, the go to sleep hands, you'll have to use kind of like those Ricochet Johnny Gargano hands to use it.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but we don't have the total go to sleep hands.
Yeah. It's gonna be the year of CM Punk as far as figures go, and they are going to pump out a lot of them, as we found out. And to me, like it, there are a lot of good ones in that case, and the Straight Edge Society one stands out in from the vault. They shocked us with the elite. What is that? 115 or whatever it was.
Oh
One
yeah, 115 Royal Rumble.
Yep, 115's Royal Rumble, but the 113, I guess it is, maybe with the Macho Man tights. That one was a shocker for me.
Oh yeah.
The Straight Edge Society was not a shocker. It was just one that was, like they're destined to do this from the vault. And we don't talk about the defining moments one that you've shown a couple of times, but that one looked pretty good in the case as well. I can't remember which figure it was they were saying doesn't have the drug free on the hands where they should on the knuckles, but
Mm. Mm.
it's gonna be fixable. But lots of
Yep.
punks.
Lots of punks. Yeah, as you can see on the screen, we got the was it the Money in the Bank 2011
Yep.
punk, and yeah, then we see the digital render. Obviously, the Stone Cold shirt is awesome, looks great. Yellow tights, iconic. And then yeah, the Straight Edge Society is already sold out. It's not even on back order. You can't even get it on back order. So I hit up John and I'm like, dude, I couldn't pre-order this. I was like at a panel at Comic Con or something. He's like, when they come out, hit me up. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. Because
Yeah.
yeah, mate, sometimes they'll get like they'll sell out in the pre-order, but when they're ready to ship, they'll have an extra to buy. So you got to kind of keep an eye on that one. But yeah, and then what about what I loved about this the Mattel Creations the Punk Returns is the packaging. I think the
Oh,
packaging
yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah, straight out of the shark cage.
And it was smart that they included this other shirt because you get the whole Brian Danielson thing with the
Yep.
white t-shirt, and it's kind of he's got the jeans and the Adidas. It's kind of funny, like those are the most Adidas I've seen them ever do, right? It was like pretty much shell toe right on the money. But we're getting that, the new CM Punk shirt, which is pretty iconic at this point
Yep.
for the modern era. So it's nice. I think this will be a really good selection to get, and it's another one I had to get two of. So
That
yeah, it's
looks
a
so
lot of
close
fun.
to done.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, pretty much is. Yeah, number 3, you ready?
Yep. Rhea Ripley, Ultimate Edition, coming with a Raw ring. And this is gonna be a figure that a lot of people want, and a lot of people are gonna be upset that they're gonna have to buy a ring to get.
So this is our best and worst because of the paywall behind the ring. I mean, I do like if you're watching, you could see the LED posts and the banners are like super, next gen modern era. So that's cool because I have the new gen ring, but this is like the next gen ring.
Yep.
So I feel like it's kind of a cool contrast to what I have. And I said I have no room for rings, but with this Rhea Ripley, man, this might have been my favorite figure of all of the Mattel booth. And of course, it comes with like a damn ring, so it's like $150 figure or whatever.
And she comes with that new women's championship that we haven't received before. So that's another value add on there. But uh, I heard some folks talking about a missing tattoo.
Yeah, Trey pointed it out in his recap video that she's missing a sternum tat, but otherwise, she's got the choker. It's a great, like one of the best bucks, going in wrestling figures. I mean, giving, where she's still feminine but still has, like the Wonder Woman build. It's perfect for Rhea. They nailed it. And so, a tattoo here and there, those things are going to happen. I mean, how many Jey Usos have we had to get because of freaking tattoos?
Yeah, but that tattoo I think is lower on her sternum. So I don't know that we'd be able to see it anyway, but I don't know.
Okay.
Still looks like a phenomenal figure and probably the two best Rhea Ripley head sculpts that we'll have received yet.
Oh yeah, no, they look awesome. I'm 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 super excited for this, and I may just have to finally give in. I never got the Nitro ring. I never got the Raw ring from Kane, and a lot of those are sold out. But I don't think I'm gonna mess around with this one. I think I'm just gonna, as soon as it goes up, I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and then have a reason to put a new ring in and put the other one back in the box, I guess, for a little while.
Yep. Well, number 4 on our list is the Amazon Greatest Grudges Warrior Ultimate Warrior versus Papa Shango. Warriors getting cursed in this one and just the they went this is an ultimate set and they went above and beyond with it because you get the soft goods warrior jacket,
Mhm.
the
Oh, it's
airbrush
so good.
jacket that
Hmm.
looks straight out of 1989, I would
Oh
say, or
yeah.
so.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then he's bleeding the black curse, whatever the black tar oil, whatever it is, it's like coming out of his hair. And then you've got the Papa Shango. He's got the skull for cursing people, and then you've got just his entrance robe. You've got his
Oh yeah.
necklace, his hat, and then there's this head with his eyes rolled back in his head where he's cursing him. Just
Oh man.
fantastic all
Yeah.
around.
You're getting two toyetic figures, just like a super pack, like you said. It's Amazon, so we've had issues with WWE stuff. I mean, Amazon in the past, you got to be on it. I mean, it. I feel like other than Walmart, Amazon can be tricky. A little harder than Target, harder than Target can be. So keep an eye on this. But it is a two pack, and they are two ultimate, so it could be quite expensive. What is it going to
Mhm.
be like?
75.
75. So it might not sell out if people don't really have the funds. But I did wish it came with this Mean Gene. I mean, it's just a main event Mean Gene, right? That they throw in
Yeah.
here.
And he's, somebody pointed out that he's leaning down or, like, they've got him bent at the knees, so I don't know if he's super tall or something, and they're trying to,
Mm.
kinda smoke and mirrors that with the but who knows? But, yeah, that's a main event Mean Gene that's gonna come with a Hulk Hogan in a two-pack, and I think that's already on back order on Ringside as well. But
Crazy.
that's one of those sets too, like, we knew about it going in because the listing leaked on Amazon without
Mm.
images, and then you got to see it. And if we didn't know that was coming, I think that that would be one of those like show stealer moments too, where it's like you're a victim of your own success.
I think that's kind of the theme, for a lot of Comic Con. I mean, definitely the G.I. Joe Hasbro panel, like most of that, we knew the Rattler was coming. We knew most of that stuff was coming. And then I think with WWE Mattel, it's like it either leaked or we'll talk about that a little later in the show, but some of the stuff got released early and kind of took away from the impact of being surprised at the convention. But we have 5 and 6 left on our both. This is our list of like both our choices kind of merged together because we both adored all these. But we got Psycho Sid Vicious, Sid Justice. Oh
Yep.
man, I love this. I love that. It's been a while, man. Do you remember the last time we got Sid?
It's I'm racking my brain on that one. It's been a while. It feels like a long time. You get an updated head sculpt here. I mean, I think they knocked it out of the park, and this Legends
So good.
24 set is gonna be something else with yeah, I wanna say it's like Sid Vicious or Psycho Sid, Ravishing Rick Rude, Bret the Hitman Hart,
Mhm.
Justin Hawk Bradshaw. That I feel like they
Yep.
just one after the other, and this is number 6 on our list too. Ravishing Rick Rude. He's the Chase. He's in WCW. He's got a new sculpt. He's got a new retooled big gold belt. This isn't the WWF version. This is the
Nope.
WCW version, and I think it looks fantastic.
And dude, check out the deco on these tights. So obviously, yeah, chase, we got the chase, and this is one you're gonna be chasing because look at that deco, man. The amount of print they got on those tights.
Yep, it looks so good.
Yep. No, definitely nailed it. Yeah, I mean, I got the ultimate Rick Rude and he's good, but I definitely wanted something like this in my collection, just a standalone Rick Rude, and I don't mind taking both of these, man.
No, that whole set is gonna be one to get. It feels like they're really picking up their stride on some of these legend sets too, with just everything that went up for pre-order, whether it was like Farouk and Kurt Angle, like just another knockout set there. I think you've got the Jim the Anvil Neidhart and Who combo, just so many good ones that looks like are on deck. And yeah, that's kind of it for like the best. And like there's some rest though that we got to talk about, and it starts with for me with that Coliseum Collection 2 pack that's going to be coming. I think that it's going to be on both Amazon and Mattel Creations at this point. We've heard like mixed things, but Big Boss Man and Bam Bam Bigelow, just straight out of the 80s, straight out of the LJN line.
No, this is a two great choices to do it. I think for Amazon, you get a little more modern names, like it's not reaching so back in the early 80s or late 70s. I think this is more, the popular era of WWE. And then you got, man, Bam Bam looks terrific, perfect. I mean, that Bach, he's got the saggy chest going on in the torso.
Yep.
Um, Looks real cool. You can see, just the jaw with his teeth. He's got the squenched eyes. He's flexing out. He's going crazy. But this was also kind of landed on my worst list. Not the set, but the fact that they just haven't been able to get the glasses mold right. We had the issues with the Comic Con Sergeant Slaughter in the past. I mean, we've got no, put it this, just to be fair, we've had glasses problems in other toy lines, Marvel and in Star Wars and GI Joe, of course. But the Big Boss Man and LA Knight glasses are just ridiculous. I mean, seeing the loop on the glasses just so much bigger over the ear, they just seem to just not be able to figure this out. There's, I've seen other toy lines put pegs in the heads, but then when you take the glasses off, then they got holes in their head. So I don't know. I mean, otherwise you're getting great accessories with Boss Man, as we could see on here. You're getting all the nightstick that clips on and everything. So obviously great additional face sculpts and hands and everything. But how do you feel about these glasses, this mold? What can we do?
I don't know what we can do at this point. Yeah, just use your old ones, I guess, if you're not feeling them. I those handcuffs, those shackles, perfect for the Monday Night War Austin that's coming too, where he's got his hands cuffed behind his back. So like definitely can see some reuse there.
That's
But
true. Yeah, it does have the ball and chain, and then they did add like a holster for the nightstick, which is really cool that attaches to his belt. So that's really dope.
yeah, that was a nice addition, and it's very cool too that I was looking in my case and I was like, oh man, my boss man is looking kind of dated. I just received that Big Bubba Rogers, and I was like, maybe I should head swap him, and I didn't get a chance to do it before I left, and then I saw these and I was like, I'm not touching it, not touching it. We're gonna get that new one soon enough.
Yeah, no, these are great. I mean, these are we're getting, it looks like we're getting 6 great scans. There's usually always like one that's off, but even like the shouting and the kind of like almost looks like Bray Wyatt sinister look over there. But I dig these. I think they did a nice job with these
Yeah.
overall, the face games.
Well, the other thing I wanted to call out too, and we talked about the big gold belt on Ravishing Rick Rude and the new boots and the ankle joints and just the way that they just keep evolving things. And that's one of the things that I like about Mattel is they're not they're not content to just let things stay the same. You know, you saw it, I think it was last year with the main event upgrade. And that was
Yes.
like a big
Going
thing for
from
the
no
year.
longer basic to main event. And I was
Yep.
just gonna say, yeah, now they're like, okay, we made the main event the way we wanted to. Now let's work on the elite.
And we've had true effects added, and we've had the double jointed arms, and just there's constant improvement going into these figures, and you know, these new boot molds that are specific to characters, and just the way the ankle joints will be going forward. I think it's huge.
Mhm. No, I agree.
And then the other thing is they're fast tracking some characters, and you can see it. They've got Tamatonga and Jacob Fatu already. We've got renders of these grayscale renders, and we saw grayscale renders of Ethan Page and some others. And
Mhm.
it's like things are picking up very fast.
Yeah. And you know, obviously everyone's making comparisons to the other competitors and the smaller companies. Oh, it took them 2 years for something they're doing in 2 months. But you know, props to Bill, gets right on the second you know it airs. He's on his computer rendering that up, and they're getting together. And how can we get this done? Let's just hope that the product doesn't look rushed, right? I mean, I guess
Yeah.
that's one of the concerns is because it's 2 months instead of usually action figures we talked about it on the show and other shows is it could take a year to 16 months sometimes to see a figure, and we're getting renders right off television, so which is exciting. But let's hope like there was enough time to put in here to make sure this is going to work.
Yeah, and then the Monday Night Wars line, we're seeing some inclusion there of new characters. Well, I don't know if they're new characters, but Booker T, you're digging into his singles run, so they are moving away from the Harlem Heat, and they're building on his television title run, and you're getting the black flame uh, pants, and then the white
Awesome.
as well. So you're
Nice.
getting a variant there, and then Hardcore Hack, which could maybe be transitioned into WWECW version of the Sandman with the black pants and that Sandman shirt. But I hope at least. But I think it's cool that they're sort of touching on some of these characters, but kind of surprising that we're already seeing the Sandman moved into that Monday Night Wars line.
You gotta make use of what they got. Gotta stick with what they saw the sales for Sandman or Ringside, and they were like, let's just they're gonna eat it up. They're gonna even do the lesser version of them, the less popular version. But the Booker thing is smart for me. We just got Harlem Heat. They're capitalizing on that. Obviously, there was a craze
Yep.
for those Walmart figures. Are still doing pretty well. And then giving him his important run as a singles wrestler. He's had run since then, five time. But this is his initial popular singles run. So I think this is the perfect Booker to start off. And I know those white tights were highly requested. So can't wait for that.
Yeah. It's gonna be great, and then a lot of people are gonna be saying, "What about bald Kurt Angle?" Well, that definitely is one thing that we should call out here because that is an era that you can see that they're gonna start touching on as well. So, we criticize Mattel for, repeating characters in these lines every now and again, but when you think back to, well, why didn't we get so many Rob Van Dams early in the line? Or why didn't we get this guy or that guy? Or why didn't they explore this? You can see that they're making an active effort to sort of cover all these different eras and looks and that while they can.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. And I think this is a great one to start off. It's a big name for Target and their Legends line. I think they got the Godfather there. Didn't really make our list, but he's part of this image. But he's got a lot going on. Obviously, it's a good year for him with Papa Shango that we have. Lots of cool deco. It's wasn't cheap to do the tats, but he's got a lot of cool stuff going on. And then you had Carlito, classic Carlito on your list.
Yeah, that's up there, and they're gonna reuse that Apple holding tech that they have or whatever.
Mhm.
So I think that that's super smart of them to sort of dig in there, and yeah, I think it looks cool that, as Carlito would say, it's cool.
It's cool. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, what else is cool is I had to pop for this. Again, it was a long segment. You got my boy BPJ, Brian Pillman Jr., super nice guy. Met him at Starcast a few years ago. Double or Nothing weekend. Good dude. Happy for him. He's getting his figure. Obviously, he's doing pretty well in NXT. He's really cool deco. I like the knee pads, with the skull and the crown, and obviously the classic Four Horsemen, the Pillman logo and everything, nice deco. And man, his face scan looks terrific. But the most important thing here is we can finally get the Hollywood Blondes going. I'm sure the price of Hollywood Steve Austin is stunning. Steve Austin is going up from the Hollywood Blondes. But man, this Brian Pillman, I'm a Brian Pillman mark, one of my favorites of all time, the loose cannon. So you got the overall vest, you got the director's clip there, and then you got the tag team championship belt. So super pumped to get. I don't know if I heard this is just in the same wave, but not a 2-pack, right?
Yeah, it's in the same wave, and I think this justifies making some of those single release figures, because every now and again they'll come back around and you'll be able to get their tag team partner. So whether it's the Warlord or Stunning Steve Austin or whomever it is, it makes sense to get these figures out while you can.
Yeah, so pumped to see Flying Brian back in, and it was great timing, obviously, with Lexus King. And man, this one, if you asked me before Comic Con, that would Lex Luger be something on your watch list? I'd laugh at you, but man, after seeing this one, you got three great scans, three unique scans. Shouting scan, love the torso. He's super jacked, looks great. And that game over shirt is for Triple H, not for him, but it got tossed in there. But he's got two titles, and then of course the infamous towel where he wipes the black paint of NWO off. But I like the additional scans that they got. You kind of like, how would you even describe those scans to your audience?
Well, you've got like the screaming scan that you can see him doing the pose, right on the entranceway, right with the pyro on
Yeah.
Nitro. I think that it almost looks like an emotional head scan,
Mhm.
that second one, and then like the smiling, smirking ponytail scan,
Yep.
and then you
Yeah,
get
really unique.
both versions of the championship too.
Yep. Yep, really unique. So this is going to come with this is Monday Night Wars Ultimate. That's going to come with the Triple H and the tracksuit. At least be not come with it, but be in that wave, right? Wave of
Yeah,
two.
definitely.
So, but yeah, I think they're both great. I mean, we talked about Triple H before, or it's been covered. So, but he's obviously got the new torso. But looking forward to both of these. I didn't get to get Mankind or Eddie Guerrero yet because I had issues with Walmart.com. But if I'm able to pre-order these and not have issues, I'm looking forward to both of them for sure. And then what else we got? Oh yeah, there's just another look.
There's
Like
another good look at, and I think that
yeah.
the Ultimate Edition is perfect for some of these larger,
Mm-hmm.
built guys.
It's a great call. I think it's our worst of Comic Con for WWE. So it is the best and worst. It's time to talk some trash.
All right, let's get into it. And just kind of topping the list for me is, the Monday Night War repeats. And I totally get it. You can only do what you can do with the characters that you have at your disposal. But to me, it feels like we're repeating some characters a little too often in this line. We've had multiple Eddie Guerreros, we'll have multiple Triple H's, we'll have multiple Stone Cold Steve Austins. And I get it. They're popular characters and they sell and they're doing what they can to sort of differentiate them and make them desirable characters. But it gets tough because you're doing a lot of repeats.
Yeah, and if you're watching, these aren't exactly the picks that like we got the Bath from Dusty Rhodes NWO. I think this is really cool.
Hmm.
I just thought these were really good shots. I mean, I am looking forward to the Stone Cold mostly because of that Terminator shirt. And Terminator Mark also loves Stone Cold. He didn't have the vest that day. He's checking his watch. And then Ultimate Warrior with the duster from WCW is obviously the one from the Lost Crowd Fund. So these are like ones we want, but it is true in the Monday Night War line, it's almost predictable at this point, mostly because of contractual things. Like we can't get Mortis, we can't get, like
Yeah.
Glacier, we can't get a lot of these deeper cuts that were WCW guys because they're not on a contract. And so we're getting a lot of the same names. But again, this DDP and Jeans, highly requested. So we're not specifically talking crap about these. I mean, we can always take an Eddie. It's just that we're just not getting a whole lot of variety in the Monday Night War line. Like lots of Hogans, lots of Nashes, right? Just
Yeah.
lots of the same over and over again. And I mean, I don't have the pictures here, but I wasn't a fan of some of the scans for some of these like Shawn Michaels and Triple H's, and there's some others that just like they're reused scans that weren't good. It's like you with the Ultimates and Shawn Michaels and Triple H, we're starting to get like great scans. At least take
Hmm.
the great scan and throw it on the Elite. Don't throw on one of the shitty ones.
Yeah, I think that it's a challenging balance that they have to do because it's like I talked about, we said for years, why didn't they get out Rob Van Dam? Why didn't they get out this? So I understand why they're
Right,
putting out so many Booker T's, why they're putting out so many hardcore hacks or Sandmans right away. It makes
right.
sense.
Hmm.
So, but then I mean, like Triple H, I don't think he's going anywhere. So,
No,
like,
no, no, no.
we're getting a lot of him. We're getting a lot of Shawn Michaels. It's like the black and silver Shawn Michaels that they're doing a best of. I think it is, and it's it's one of those that we're gonna see. Like we've already seen it like 3 times in different lines. So here it comes again, and then the other thing is they're getting too fast to re-release some figures, I think. We just had the
Mhm.
Ultimate Edition Yokozuna, and now we're
Right.
getting 2 more Yokozunas in the from the vault line, and that's a whole other point is, like, chases in the from the vault line where
Ridiculous, ridiculous.
it's not at retail, it's at ringside, and it's an exclusive. It's not really a chase, like, I I
Right.
I don't know, like, that to me was kind of a strange one. The whole Hollywood Hulk Hogan in that line, I kinda understand, like, it didn't have the right torso, and, I think I did a boot swap and, on another figure to make this figure, and it worked just fine, but,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, "Oh, here it is." It looks great. I think that I'm glad that they're doing that roasted tan on this figure, but it's one of those where it's like, "Oh, man, how long ago was that out? Last year?"
Right. Yeah, we got the 3-pack, and then we got the Ultimate of Hollywood Hogan. So it's just a lot, and then, we got Monday Night Wars, which are very similar. So we were just getting a lot of Hogans. Now we're getting a lot of Yoko. So it seems like when we get a figure, we're just gonna no matter the name, as long as it's not, as long as it's somewhat on the A level from A minus to A plus, we're gonna see a lot of them, right? It's like
Yeah.
even some of the B like you mentioned, some of the B plus players, B players, we're seeing a lot of those too. So it's just I mean, while they got it, they're gonna cash in. I get it, but the 39.99 to just buy a chase because it's not like you can find it on Amazon or Target and actually chase after it. It's online, so that's actually going to be one of those questions we're gonna have to hit Jonathan up with. It just be like, hey, what is the like? We kind of get it, but tell us the business decision behind this, and it'll be interesting to hear it from his perspective. I'm sure he has a lovely reason why, right?
Yeah, and I think the other point that this sort of feeds into is, it it's gonna make collectors a little more choosy on what they get, and, the people who can get everything, they're gonna be fewer and far between. There are gonna be fewer Kyle Petersons, I feel like, after this because it's just it's getting hard, like, and you're when you see so many repeats and repeats and repeats, you're just gonna be like, all right, I'm just gonna do this one, or I'm gonna
Yeah.
skip. these Yokos because I already got the Ultimate Yokos. Why do I need these Yokos? And especially when they're, the same head, it's not the bearded sculpt or whatever. Like, there's just not enough different robe. Okay. But, I don't know.
Try assessing this when you're collecting G.I. Joe
Yeah.
Classified, Marvel Legends, Cosmic Legions, Operation Monster Force, cherry picking Star Wars Black Series, collecting Mezco, collecting blah 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 blah. Like for wrestling fans, I mean, even still, like you said, and there's only one Kyle Peterson, by the way. No one can do 20 videos one day. Shout out to Kyle. We gotta talk with him again. But yeah,
And
it's just like even a guy like Kyle, you don't need 6 Yokos when you have an ultimate Yoko. You don't really need an elite Yoko at all.
well, and then, you know, beyond Mattel, there's Jazwares. Beyond Jazwares, there's Power Town. Beyond Power
Yeah,
Town, there's going to be Zombie Sailor toys.
right.
Beyond Zombie Sailor toys, there's going to be Hastel toys. Beyond them, there's going to be, it's just going to
MLW, the
keep going.
TNA, the
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
7, the New
Yeah.
Japan, like all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other sort of worse of, and you can take it however you want, it is we got a lot of reveals Mania weekend. And, we got some reveals too that happened in the weeks leading up to San Diego Comic-Con. If we
Right.
wouldn't have seen these Steiner brothers, 2 weeks or whatever it was, a week ahead of Comic-Con, this would have been one of the show stealing moments. And instead, it's like, oh, it's not an afterthought. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we saw studio shots. We knew this is coming. It sort of takes away the like surprise element. And that's always going to happen though, because there are leaks all the time. We get, name reveals, and it's not always going to line up the way Mattel wants it. They had a reason that they revealed this. I can't remember. There was like I think it was like an A&E biography show or something like that.
What it was.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
there
that's
was
again
something that drove that.
another, when we left the panel, Kyle said I was a little underwhelmed, but and the Steiners would have been a perfect home run. I agree.
Mhm.
This is a better reveal than anything they had. And they had great reveals. Like look at our best list. Like we have our own separate best list. We had a great best list. Like there's a lot of cool stuff. And we still have a bonus round of cool stuff that we're going to talk about. But this would have been, I get it, like popularity wise, not bigger than Punk and not bigger than some of the other bigger names. But for just the general wrestling collector that's been, doing this for like a little bit, the Steiners were the splash of the last month, so this,
Mhm.
and then yeah, we see at the booth and like, oh cool. It's like it's like we were excited to see him in person. As you can see on the screen, they look amazing, they're perfect, but it's like there was no, we were spoiled. It was like being told the end of all the cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine before seeing Deadpool and Wolverine. That's how I felt about WWE Mattel's booth.
Yeah, it's the new shiny object thing. It's totally that. And so that sort of leads us into another thing, and that's, the pre-orders were going up at random times, and they weren't even going up as we sort of heard that they would. They were happening like 2 hours before their stated like opening time. So like
Mhm.
that's one of the challenges if you're just existing, but if you're at the show, it's another issue is like they're just randomly going up and you're just like, "Oh, I've got to order this now on the show floor," or, it's 4:30 in the morning and the Amazon pre-orders are going up, or that it's totally out of Mattel's control. They have no control over it. So, you can't knock them for it. It's just how these businesses, these retailers operate, and you're just kind of at their mercy of when these pre-orders go live.
And then you also had Too Expensive. Do you want to clarify that?
I mean, it was just expensive. Like, everything
I
was
just mean
expensive.
like in general, like is in
Yeah.
general just observation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like these would spread out, these are manageable maybe. Coming all in the span of, like, 2 to 3 days, it's a lot
You mean
to
the
handle.
pre-orders were like
Yeah,
expensive.
like,
We're all
just
getting hit with it at once. I
general,
get that.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
pre-order expense, all
Oh
at
man.
once instead of spread out. And I get it. Everybody's excited about Comic-Con, so they want to release some pre-orders at that time. It's just it starts adding up, adding up, adding up, and then you're like, "Oh man."
The worst part was the shipping container from China arrived like a month or two before Comic-Con. We got nailed as collectors of a lot of Hasbro products. I can only really speak for the Hasbro stuff, but we got nailed with Joe's and Marvel Legends and Star Wars stuff all at once, like literally all at once, like hundreds of dollars if you collect all three lines. Even if you're cherry picking, we were just getting and Transformers. So a lot of Transformers 86. We were
Wow.
getting all four of the main brands from Hasbro. We all got nailed because everything shipped at once before Comic Con. Like, so imagine you're going to Comic Con, saving money for exclusives. It's a good thing we got some of them for free because we got destroyed with just the mail that came in. It was ridiculous. And then, like, yeah, in the last week, I've had nothing delivered. I don't have anything delivered next week. It's kind of just we all got hit at once. It was right before Comic Con. The timing could not have been worse for a
Yep.
lot of people.
There were Walmart pre-orders shipping, there were Target pre-orders shipping, like, yeah,
That too.
there's a lot of stuff on the wrestling side.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
you had some of these, like,
What was that?
Tiffany?
Oh yeah, what they do to do what they do to my girl Tiffy. Definitely one of the up and coming rising stars in WWE, and arguably one of the more attractive. But who is this? That is who. This is not Tiffy time. I don't know who this is, but it ain't Tiffy. That's all I'm saying. I get face scan technology isn't always 100%. I think Mattel, even Carlito in the background is not looking so hot either. But WWE, I think, does a great job. And Jazwares, we're gonna talk about them in a few minutes, but they're doing much better scans I'm excited to talk about. But yeah, this ain't it, Chief. I mean, maybe it's just once it hits the factory and they're like, well, people are gonna buy it anyway because it's a new character. But yeah, I don't know about this one, dude.
Yeah. It it is what it is, I guess, and eventually, hopefully
It is
she's
what it
not,
is.
like, having Bret Hart issues down the road.
Oh man, hope not. Hopefully they'll get that one figured out. But bonus round, maybe we'll go a little quick. We got some honorable mentions.
Yeah, just, there was a lot of great stuff shown, and it's the same thing that we mentioned with the Steiner brothers. It's a victim of, getting spoiled on so many things. The Dominic looks amazing. That's going to be an Ultimate Edition. The Dusty Rhodes Ultimate Edition looks great.
Woo! Now
Yeah,
this one, I personally messaged Bill and was like, I love Dusty, but Polka Dot Dusty. I was like, I didn't really have this on my radar, but dude, you guys nail this. I mean, even like we always talk about this in Ultimate, you always get one crazy face, but the crazy face in this is my favorite.
yeah. Just
Like the tongue, yeah, just great.
so many, like, good scans. Yeah, the open mouth, surprised
Yep.
looking, just wild Dusty
Yep.
Rhodes. The
Mhm.
Ultimate Edition Vader, the Ultimate Edition Outsiders, like, just so many great things that are on the way. And, we see them and we're like, you don't appreciate them the way you should. The Elite Tag Team Dudley Boys looked fantastic. Like, the headbangers. You've got
Awesome.
these
That
two
headband
packs,
is so
tag team
good.
two packs that are coming. It's like so many good things. And it's just like, in the rush of it all, and since we've already seen it, or knew that it was coming, it's like it doesn't hit the same. But I
Right.
mean,
Imagine we just go to the booth and we are hit with obviously I think Dom was way out. We knew about
mhm,
Dom, but even these, they could have been like, I mean, I get it. It's ringside. You gotta get those pre-orders in there and see how much. But man, if we did it with outsiders, Dudleys and Steiners, this would be like, I mean, it still was a great Comic Con, but it would be the great. I think we're undervaluing what they've done because
yeah,
we already knew about it, right? It
yeah,
was like they're killing it. I mean, this is 5 out of 5 stuff, but because we already knew about it, we're
yep,
just traveling to see it in person. We're like, all right, great, but we're not shocked by any of it, you
yeah.
know?
And it's like the Ultimate Edition fan takeover Seth Rollins, and the Bray Wyatt that glows in the dark, or
Right.
might glow in the dark. There's just so many good things that, we saw that we knew were coming. And, had we not. And then, you get a first time look at Dragon Lee, and it's a mixed bag because you knew he was coming, but he looks really good.
Yep. No, he's awesome. Are you good with even like this with like the plastic jacket, without the soft good?
It's difficult because that would have been hard to execute as soft
Right.
goods. So yeah,
Right. No, I think it's terrific. I think, yeah, these all look superb, but yeah, I'm glad to see Dragon Lee in person. We knew it was coming, but this was one at least like we didn't it was it was better to see in person than the others because we've seen more of the others. So seeing Dragon Lee, which I called Ultimo Dragon Lee. No, I can't wait. He looks awesome, and I think he'll be easy to get. So
yeah.
excited about that. But I guess the last thing we should talk about it because it is partially a toy kind of mood. Just whiskey grades for maybe the panel, and then what WWE did overall. How would you score this one, Justin?
I'd say what 4 out of 5 is probably what I'm going with, and I again I you know you cannot compare what Mattel did to what or what Jazwares did. Mattel showed a lot of product. Jazwares showed a lot of AEW renders, so that alone sort of separates them. I
Yeah.
Case Fresh Pod, they did like a numbers breakdown, and it was WWE figures, 214 figures shown, 40 main event figures, 20 new main event figures. Elites, 102 elites shown, 73 new figures, 73
Oh,
new elite figures, 11 first time in the line elites, 5 new gimmick elites. Ultimate edition, 40 figures shown, 18 new, one first time. And then I think they had like 8 re-releases. And then for AEW, which we'll get into, 115 figures shown, 45 new figures shown. I think it was 13 first time in the line figures. So I was taking notes while I was listening to Case Fresh Pod, and you should
yeah,
check them out. They're very. I really enjoy the show that they're putting together. But
great.
I mean, that tells you the numbers right there of what we saw and what was new, and it kind of puts to some perspective behind it all.
Yeah, no, that's a numbers breakdown. I'm gonna go. I'll say the panel 4 out of 5. No surprise guest. A lot of the stuff we knew, but they did give us a lot of, there's a lot of stuff we didn't talk about. Like we got to see a better color render of like Kyrie Sane and stuff like that. So there's a lot of juice in the panel. That's not, it's just no big surprises. Like even CM Punk was the grand finale, the ultimate CM Punk, and we knew that was coming. It was just not a lot of surprises, but sometimes, like Meltzer says, good booking is predictable, right? So we're okay with that. I'll see as far as the booth. I'm gonna give them. I spent less time at the booth because I was at Comic Con less time, but I want to give them some love. I'll go 4.25 for the booth. Just more lack of surprises, but I think they nailed it. I think Rhea Ripley looks terrific in person. There's some business decisions that we questioned, but I think overall is a very strong showing. If we had more surprises, it'd be like 5 out of 5. They're doing 5 out of 5 work. It's just the way the businesses and the lack of surprises and anything is part of our score. But as far as what they're doing, they're crushing it. Mattel's crushing it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
let's. I'm gonna give them on the booth. I'm gonna give them a 4.75 out of 5 because it's everything we talked about for all the reasons we talked about. I should say of I don't want to discount the work because there are so
Yeah.
many good things in there
Yeah.
that I mean, it's really a knockout
Yeah.
display, and just I'm gonna knock it like 0.25 stars
I'll go
just
4. I'll go 4.5. You're right. I mean, just the fact that we were able to actually see a lot of this stuff, even just them being like, you know what, people want to see the grayscale stuff in person. Like the fact that they would just, even though we said we can't make a lot out of it, they're showing you like, dudes, we're working on this. A lot of companies would be like, it's not ready. They'd have a paper sign with like a picture. So they actually gave us a jacket for Jade Cargill just
yeah.
because Jade's not ready, and they gave us the jacket. They're trying their hardest to give us what they want. So yeah, I'm gonna go 9 out of 10, 4.5 out of 5 of that booth.
Yeah, and the fact that we saw or like I guess somehow they pulled out like packaged from the vault stuff later. Like I was seeing it later on My Damn Toys that they actually like got those out. Like they're still pulling rabbits out of the hat at the end.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, because it seemed like because they had so much at the booth, there was less stuff being put out. Because remember, I mean, Comic-Con last year, they had the preview night, and then half the booth was filled in the next day. But like this time, most of the booth was out, and they had, like you said, a couple tricks, rabbit tricks at the end, but less stuff to like surprise us with at the booth later on. But overall, yeah, great job. Next company though, other
Let's get
brand.
into Jazwares and AEW. And I will say, it's one of those weird things where AEW is smashed into a panel discussion that includes like Pokemon and some other reveals, Star Wars, Micro
Total anime.
Galaxy,
Yep.
yeah, anime stuff. Like there's a lot going on, but I
Yep.
will give them credit for I feel like they devoted as much time, if not more, to AEW than they did some of these other brands. And they brought out Mercedes Monet and Brody King, and they had surprises. They tried to make it special. They did end up like burning through things pretty quickly because they were running out of time, which I guess, Comic-Con's on a very specific schedule. And when
Yes.
you're running late, you do what you got to get through it.
Yeah. And then if you look closely, you'll see a Waldo there, a hidden celebrity. He's not so
Yeah.
hidden, he's front and center, but yeah, there's a familiar face there at the panel.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to attend the panel. I was doing a lot of work, reviews, interviews. I missed it, but I did get to watch. Shout out to Ringside. They put the 15 minutes of AEW, and it comes in perfect, and
Hmm.
you get to see all the guesses. And I had a lot of fun at the Jazwares booth. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on. It's not dedicated to AEW, like you said, but I thought this zombie mountain king of the zombie mountain of madness, whatever you want to call it. It was like they're all like zombies falling off the mountain, and it's the king of the mountain with all the titles hanging from the top. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a cool display.
It is a cool display. It's like it's maybe bigger than a DTOLF, and it's like one but it's basically a King of the Mountain and display. I mean, they're climbing a mountain, fighting at the top, and Swerve and the Bucks are at the top, and it's one of those displays where it's like I missed that, and I missed that, and it's like, oh, there's Takeshita, and we haven't seen Takeshita yet, and oh,
Yep.
there's Julia Hart, and there's all these like surprises in there, and you get a up close look at the Owen Hart Championship on Adam Cole, and just random things throughout. Like I missed Orange Cassidy at the top, and he's in black, and it's like, oh, there's an Orange Cassidy in there, and there's like the ringside exclusive. Who was it? Jay Lethal, the Black Machismo,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and
Yep.
then the new Bucks at the top, and they look
They look great.
fantastic.
Their
Yeah.
face scans look great. I mean, yeah, that we've been, man, I've been dissing the Jazwares Bucks for a long time because they're, one of some of my favorite guys in the last, decade. And I think they finally, I like the Ring of Honor ones, which we talked about in a previous episode, but these are really good. I'm proud of them. And then you said among the best of the case, you had Takeshita, which we both agreed on. But yeah, Adam Copeland's looking really good.
Yep. And that was something I talked about with Jeremy Padawer was fast tracking figures and getting Adam Copeland in the line faster. And I think it's a smart decision that they're doing to, work to get some of these newer figures in there. And that's definitely something we'll talk about. But at the top of, and I love this display. And I thought I heard somebody else say that's in the toy biz that they would have liked to see a display next to it where the figures are like visible and posed, and I think that would have been added another element to it. I think that would have been a good move if they could have done it and had the space to do it. But I mean, they're displaying a lot of things over there other than AEW, and they did have a display with like some of the Ring of Honor Jazwares Vault stuff and
Yep.
the Briscoes, and that was another
Yep.
thing,
Yeah.
surprise
Yeah.
pre-order there.
Which we got on our list. But the first thing at the top we both agree with, I think, is the legacy of
Yep. That to me is the number one thing coming out of this is they are going to celebrate Sting's legacy, and they're going to hit the Surfer Sting, the Crow Sting, um, basically all eras of Sting it looks like they're getting into, and I think it's overdue that they did this, and, yeah, I mean, they're gonna get into Blade Runner Sting, and we knew that, but that's gonna be, like, a 1 of 3,000 figure that's gonna be in an upcoming wave, and just some of the colorful Sting attires too, like the yellow and red and different face paints.
No, it's great, and you get the alternate faces. So you got like the yelling, yell "ow" kind of face, and then he's got the more menacing, like leveling up, smack, punching the chest and whatever. And you got similar looks, but yeah, you got Blade Runner, more gothic look. But yeah, this was also considered one of the worst things because now it's going to be a highly, and Jeremy talked about this with you, and that's just kind of how he runs his business. But yeah, we get this 1 of 1,000, 1 of 3,086 Blade Runner in that unmatched 11 luminaries line, and then you got the 87, 88 Sting, and then before in the 3 pack, you got the Forbidden Door look, and you asked about like why not Owen too? Did you want to address that?
Yeah, I just wonder, we've touched on Stampede era Owen Hart, and they seemingly have figured out how to get Surfer Sting into this line. We should be able to figure out how to get, pink and black singlet Owen into this line.
Right.
That's
There's got to be a way to cheat it. If they can get away with this, which we know doesn't all the way belong to them, there's got to be a way to do Owen.
Yep. And then second on the list, Timeless Tony Storm.
Oh yeah. Well, I just switched this over to get it away. I know you had some of the single figures in there, but we'll run through those. But yeah, I think overall Tony was our second or third. Me and the monochromatic, the black and white. This is what we requested. This is what we talk about. So when we manifest these things, we've got to be pretty thrilled that this is happening. I think it turned out pretty dope. I mean, the two scans get two different kind of the classic Hollywood looks that she has. I know, unfortunately, she's kind of go with an all new kind of deranged actress look with the wet hair look, but at least this is the iconic Marilyn Monroe or Sunset Boulevard look, comes with the title. Obviously we got soft goods. So I think her promos, Justin, were hilarious. I shared them even to people who don't like wrestling figures because I'm like, these are the greatest promos about action figures ever. Like
Oh,
she's like she puts her gimmick all the way. It doesn't matter. She's at Comic-Con, she's on TV, she's getting interviewed on a channel with 100 people or 1 million people. Like she lives the gimmick, and I wanted to share just her world with other people.
yep. Monochromatic like she requested, and do with it whatever you will, or whatever you do with it is your business.
Yeah, that was pretty.
Yeah.
That was a riot too. But yeah, what do we got? We got what is it, 39.99. Probably gonna ship in the fall sometime November. And yeah, we even got the wrist cuffs and alternate hands, the black and white, and then the AEW women's title. So that'll be fun in black and white. And so yeah,
And a
awesome. I mean,
shoe.
the
You got a
shoe.
shoe
Yeah,
to
yeah,
beat
that's right.
your Wendy Richters.
Yeah, right there on the left. If you're watching, you get the extra shoe to beat on the stupid announcers at AEW too. Wendy Richter as well.
Well, and then that gets into the other big thing for me is new blood in the line, and they are not wasting time getting Will Ospreay in this line, or Mercedes Moné, or Okada, or Takeshita, or Julia Hart, A- Adam Copeland, Willow. Like
Yeah,
they are going to be getting these new characters in that I talked to Jeremy about ahead of this, and sure enough, here they all are.
yeah, dude, they look awesome. Mercedes obviously being the big guest, but the thing here is a shop. She's a shop AEW. Mercedes Monet is a shop AEW exclusive, like the premiere edition. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's a new line they're gonna do, and I all in on that because I don't think that the t-shirt line was working the way that a
Yeah, hell
a
no.
line like this could, where it's like, I don't know if it's the debut figure of, like, they didn't really explain what the premiere edition is, but, you're getting soft goods robes, you're getting a lot of accessories in these, and, is this, like, the way of the future as far as getting some of these bigger name characters into the line faster?
Yeah, I mean, this is from what I gather, it is the first appearance, but you're right. This could be the way to do it, like without having to really mess with retail and going direct. And because they're behind, and that's the criticism. I think it's any move they can make. And like we talked about, Jeremy is a forward thinker, and you obviously that's clear in the interview we had. And this is forward thinking, right?
Yep, it absolutely is. And then the other thing that I like that they're doing is we're getting updated versions of characters. We're getting updated Swerve. We're getting an updated Christian. We're getting an updated Jack Perry as the scapegoat. We're hitting on the attires that are fresh. And the thing that I think that I said, where is Mustache Dax? That's what we're missing here.
Yeah. No, I mean, great stuff. I mean, I want to slow down and talk about Takeshita here because, obviously a big star. He's in the G1 right now having classic matches, with Don Callis, and they made this a chase. So to me, it's an interesting one. Was it one of 5,000? But then they also said there would be it would be coming to ringside, and we're not sure if that means it would be the same one or there would be an exclusive Kanasuke Takeshita. Did you have any intel on that?
I don't, and I wish I did because I think a lot of people are wondering, is it this figure that's going up? Is it, another ringside exclusive? Like what's happening that, ringside's going to have a hand in Konosuke Takeshita because I think there are a lot of people that are going to be disappointed that he's one of 5,000. But then again, that's just a sticker, man. Like, it's just a sticker, and, like, we don't know how
That's
many they're
true.
putting out of other
That's
figures,
true.
So
That's true. And I can't go about without showing this, man. I got to get my 2 cents in on Will, but yeah, so far he looks pretty great. I think the torso's good. He looks strong, but he still looks fit and thin. I like the tights. He wears a lot of black and green, from the royal family and everything. I think the face scans look good. I've been a heavy criticism, but man, even the portrait view looks really good. I mean, if you look from the profile view, I mean, his profile is pretty great. The shouting face is good, but I think the more calm one is excellent. The shouting face looks good from the profile view, but yeah, I think they nailed this one. And then obviously, big news here is that we're getting another Will Ospreay. There's nothing to show yet, but he's coming to Supreme already. So, this was both good and bad news, right? Because we had you were worried about the limited scope, maybe being Walmart only.
yeah, that it is going to be a Walmart exclusive still in the States. He's gonna come with that robe too. So,
Oh
he's gonna
yeah.
come with his robe, and I mean, I just got the sting. They're putting a lot of they're giving you a lot for the money. I mean, it's an expensive figure, but you do get a lot for it.
Yeah. We're kind of jumping around here. Another one of my favorites was John Moxley Supreme. I think, I wasn't able to see the panel, but I think this was the first thing I saw from the panel. I was like, oh yeah, holy shit, this is the Mox I've wanted for a long time. I think they nailed the scan. This is absolutely if this is how it's going to look in person, this is the best Moxley scan ever made, WWE or AEW. With Dean Ambrose, I think they nailed it. I love the gear with the Mox, the red Mox with the crossbones and the skull, and then you got kind of the chains on the tights. And look at all the different faces; they all look awesome. The additional scans,
So many
yelling and
hands.
stuff. Yeah, so many millions of hands. He's got some like two sweet hands, finger pointing hands, punching hands, grasping hands. I mean, he's an animated guy, so it makes sense. And then, dude, we got two soft goods. You got one Forged in Combat hoodie, Blackpool Combat Club, sleeveless T-shirt. He's got obviously we could pop off the torso and get the lower legs, and you get like the gray jeans with some rips there and mocks on it. So man, this is a 5 out of 5 Supreme for me. It's I know we're not getting it till next year, but I'm finally glad that we're getting one.
It'll definitely be 5 out of 5 for me if that shirt is packed on the side and not on him. I don't want any stained figures, so
Oh
please
yeah.
please pack that on the side. I know it how it shows it in the render. Please fix it.
Fix it. And yeah, I think let's see, we talked about Monet already, and then we got what else we got? Yeah, so there's just kind of the
Juice.
lineup of Unmatched. Yeah, we got Juice, and then yeah, we got the Guns. So I think they got some great
Yep.
gear. We got Julia. If you're watching right now, you could see Austin and then Colton Gunn. So I think they look pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the headband and everything, and then yeah, Colton looks really good. Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
did a good job.
I feel like they showed so many new characters, whether it was Willow or Mariah May. It was like they just showed a picture of Mariah May, and they only showed a picture of Okada, but they're coming. They're getting an upgraded, and Willow's going to have a chase figure or a rare figure. I can't remember which one it is. And just like they're doing so many characters. There's Mark Briscoe. And then they showed that Daniel Bryan or Brian Danielson, I should say, with the eye patch. And they did fix his torso. They changed it.
You're excited. It's about time, right?
Yeah, it's
You've been
way
doing
overdue. Way
yeah,
overdue.
you've been doing a lot of swaps, so now you're finally gonna get the Brian Danielson.
I'm just glad I don't have to buy a MJF figure to go with it,
That's
like to
always
fix
nice.
it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think you have here in the notes something about we talked about the premiere edition, but the AEW archives. I don't know if you want to like quick bite on that.
Yeah, so they are releasing the what is it? Kenny Omega, Sammy Guevara, and Matt Hardy in the AEW archives, and it looks like a re-release of the Matt Hardy figure. It's street gear, Sammy Guevara, and Kenny Omega. Omega looks sort of like a re-release, but not quite like his blood and guts attire, but it's not. It's from Revolution. He's got a Revolution T-shirt, but I can see the body build that they're using. But this is packaged with like a golf cart. It looks like a golf cart. And after all the time that they've sort of teased doing an actual golf cart, it looks like this is just the packaging. It's not an
It's
actual golf cart.
cardboard.
Yeah,
It's a cardboard cart. So this is absolutely on top of your list of worst from AEW because to tease it and then to get a cardboard cart, like you
yeah.
said, after all the hype is gonna be. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a little on the disappointing side, I guess, especially when it's a vault item for later
Right.
this year. So
Mhm.
it whatever, it's not like I
Keeps
needed a
the
golf
cost down.
cart, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
yeah, what else do we need to hit here?
right here, I had on my best. We talked about that they had additional wrestlers in the booth from the vault, and I think the Briscoes, I think they knocked these out of the park. And I think the face scans are supposed to be zany anyway and crazy, so I'm fine with them. I mean, we do get the ROH tag titles. You got the chains there, with the dog collar match and everything. So I think they're awesome. What's your take on Jay and Mark?
It's just like 10 out of 10. Like they nailed them.
Yep. And we got more looks as the box, and then a closer looks. Yeah, Mark Briscoe looks awesome. Yeah, I think they both look great. Jay looks great. I think they got the hair right with the band, and then you get the dreads coming out for Jay. Yeah, these are awesome. Like I think Major Pod was like they should have just started the vault line with these two. Really just started off with a home run instead of I obviously they did a good job with Malachi Black sold out. So that.
Yeah.
But I think when it came to the Ring of, that was the AEW side. When it came to Ring of Honor, we kind of got like, it was Claudio and Kenny, and they did okay, but I think these are the ones that are, these are the most hyped up because it's not like a lot of reuse. These are all new figures that we're getting.
Right. And they're one of 6,000. And so like that's I'm glad that they were that many because they didn't sell out. And I think that there were a lot of us concerned that they would sell out.
Yep. No lies there. And then what else we got? We got, oh, this was from you mentioned this on the King of the Mountain was, and there's an image from ringside that's from the King of the Mountain, but it's the Macho Man gear, Jay Lethal. And I guess the question is here, if you take off all that gear, it's soft goods, will it just be his modern look of Jay Lethal?
Probably. Like, I'm not sure what else it could be, but
That that additional scan looks like the what's his name from Ring of Honor? He was on Ring of Honor too. It doesn't look like Jay Lethal. It looks like help me out here. He tagged with Frankie Kazarian. He kind of
oh,
pops in every now and then.
Scorpio Sky.
Scorpio Sky. It looked to me, it looks more like Scorpio Sky than Jay Lethal. The tongue hanging out.
It
Look,
kind of
that doesn't.
does.
I mean, the main face scan and the one we see in the
Mhm.
booth looks great. Like the Macho
Yeah,
Man
it
look. Like
looks.
I think that they nailed it. But then that additional. Now again, it's on a box. It's a render. So let's not
Yeah,
overreact. But to me, it looks more like Scorpio. It looks more like Scorp than Jay Lethal. But hopefully, they fix that.
it looks great. Like,
Black
definitely gonna
Machismo's.
pick that up at some point.
Yeah, it looks good though. Definitely toyetic, and I think it's the right move. And I guess you could say, oh well, he hasn't done that in years, but this is the it's all about making toys and making money, and this is how you sell a Jay Lethal. So with
Yep.
the different packaging, and then you said on your worst list, you actually had Orange Cassidy with this like 6-year-old drawing, or even 3-year-old drawing of Orange Cassidy.
So I'm a huge Orange Cassidy guy, but I feel like this is a little too esoteric for collectors. They're just kind of gonna see this and be like, "What is this?" And it's because it's so plain. It's like it's not even black and white. It's like a gray Orange Cassidy figure, right? Like white, just pure
White,
white.
white with
Yeah.
just like you took a Sharpie marker and you marked it up, and I get like the joke, but it doesn't make for a good figure.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that I have with it is that, like, I I'm worried about these things like shelf warming or, warming on, the vault, and I don't know how limited this is. I can't remember if they even said, but I'm just a little concerned that there's not the business case for this.
Yeah. And I think finally, before our final thoughts and notes, we have the House of Black. You kind of had it on a worst only because we've been getting a lot of them. I think overall you're going to agree that they're pretty good.
Oh, they're excellent. This is gonna be a day one buy for me, and you can see the upgrades on tattoos and stuff and masks and everything, and you're getting the championships and all of that. It's just I'm a l I how many, Brody Kings have we received so far? I mean, we got the regular edition and a chase and a blood and guts and, a Walmart exclusive, and I'm trying to think if there's others, but, like, so far, that's a lot, and now we're getting another one in a 3-pack, and, to their credit, like, they've upgraded, I think, Malachi with some new tattoos, and then, Buddy Matthews has only received 1 figure so far, so you're getting a different version of him and a masked head sculpt. So
Yeah, it looks awesome.
they look great. I think the moment I saw this attire, I was like, "I'm gonna need this," and they're giving it to us, and and now I'm complaining about it.
It was more of a sarcastic worst list. It's like, oh no, more House of Black, but you're killing me because we both need it. So I'm
Yeah.
with you. I'm day one purchase for me. I think it was funny to end on that. But I don't know if you had a couple. Let's see, you had something about you. You talked about the shirts already, right? But there's probably no fix for that. Uh,
You hope it's coming, but then you see that render image of the Mox Supreme, and it's like, we may be farther away than, you know, we hoped.
And then just overall whiskeys for what Jazwares did, both presentation and the panel. Regardless of their, kind of the handcuffs they have by having to share, lines with other people.
So, presentation, I would give them a 5 out of 5 because they it looks like they have done what they needed to do, which is get some of
Mhm.
these newer characters into the line. and hopefully that they're going to move faster on them. And it looks like they're taking some chances on the vault. I don't know that they're all going to hit like the Orange Cassidy or the AEW archives, but they are taking some chances. And if you're an inbox collector, that cart is going to look cool. If you're not and you've been waiting for the actual golf cart, then you're going to still be waiting for a plastic version.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. I wasn't there, but I'll go 4.5 out of 5. I thought they definitely, for the time they had, they crushed it. I thought 15 minutes, they still were able to. I still think they need a better presenter. No offense to the person that was there. He seemed nervous and they just don't have the personality of like Steve Ozer. Like it doesn't have the confidence. It's hard. Steve Ozer is one of the greatest out there, but we just need someone to represent. Jeremy runs Jazwares,
Right.
so he can't be that person that's like, hey, AEW. We need someone, a personality. Hopefully someone that's not annoying. Like who's that guy that's with AEW and does the pre-shows with Renee? Not a guy like that. Like we don't need a comedian. Just someone who
Yeah.
knows the toys but can speak to people and have a good time doing it, but not sound like, oh, kind of nervous. I don't know.
No,
Someone
like
like a Steve Ozer, basically.
I think that's something that I've said to you before is Jazzwares for the AEW line needs a Steve Ozer. They need somebody
Right.
that can be Jeremy from back in the classic superstars days and interact with fans and get them hyped
Mhm.
and answer their questions and, you know, maintain the interest level and the interconnectivity with the line and really help them along the way because that they went through this lull period and it it definitely hurt them. It hurt the collectability and it hurt just it wasn't good for the line and they need that person who can be out front and connect and answer questions where appropriate.
A face
Yeah,
of and Jeremy's the face of Jazzwares. That's almost comparing like to someone who's the face of Mattel, which
yeah,
isn't Steve or Bill. They're the face of WWE. So we need a face of AEW. And I think if they get that, they can connect. It's about connecting to their audience. That's what we're
yeah.
on. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Apple. We're on all these things and we're connecting and Instagram and all that. We just need someone to connect and not just a AEW by Jazzwares or like a blank name. We need
Yep.
someone out there who's doing the social media, the influencing, if you will. That's not someone that's tied into the company.
And I say this after I've interviewed Jeremy, but you're right. He is the higher level. He is, over so many different things
He's the
at
CEO.
Jasper.
You can't
Yeah.
like he can't do it. Yeah.
Chief brand officer. Yep. He can't do it. So yeah, they just need that person that can be that go-to, go on the forums, answer questions, do the interviews, like make occasional appearances. Who those people are for the GI Joe classified line. Who those people are for
Right.
Marvel
So we
Legends.
yeah, right. So we had like, yeah, you have Ryan and Dan, you got Emily and Lenny and Tony, and you got, you know what I mean? They had BMAC at Transformers, and they're kind of, he's coming to GI Joe. So you got all these people, all these companies have their own person to represent them, and I think they need someone. And again, no offense to, I don't even know the guy's name, but I'm sure he did his best, but to me, he's not that guy. I couldn't connect to him. He didn't seem really confident with what's going on. He had a couple jokes I laughed at, but we just need someone that could be the face of what they're doing. I think that that's important to keep people connected and people like community. That's why they like a toy kind of mood. That's why they like wrestling figure news. It's a community and there's continuity. And I think we need that. Otherwise, I think for the time allotted, 15 minutes, they gave us 60 minutes worth of stuff. Or 45 minutes worth of stuff in 15 minutes. I think they did good job. And I think with the restrictions of everything, I think the booth was fun. Of course, a lot of the stuff was renders, so they can't put renders out on the booth when the panel's over. But I think regardless, they knocked it out of the park. Some of the stuff that we criticize is business stuff and like silly stuff like cardboard and like stuff. It's stuff that isn't great. But overall, I mean, kudos to them. They exceeded all of our expectations for sure.
Definitely. And I was a fan of the booth display. It would have been nice if there was room to have like a posed version as well,
Yeah.
but that's just, nitpicking at this point. And like I said, I thought the presentation was like 5 out of 5 as far as like reveals and surprises and just seeing the direction that they're going in. And I do think that there is that need for somebody to be out front on the line, and Jeremy can't be that guy. And they've got to allow somebody to be that person too. So that I think that would be super helpful to them. And yeah, I mean, I just think that, like you said, it helps build community. It helps, keep the connection alive. And, people know they can go to Steve and ask questions, and you're not always going to get an answer, but he's out front on it. And I think that sort of thing is helpful every now and again.
Yeah. And I would say shout out to Jazwares PR. Met Bob. He was really cool. Gave me a booth review. I would say considering what they had, I like the booth. I would give it a 375. It's hard to rate because they share so many different lines. I thought they had a nice booth overall. If you like all kind of different things, some of the other setups were fun. It's not going to knock your socks off like Mattel's because they have a whole gigantic booth
Yeah.
dedicated, one of the biggest booths at Comic-Con dedicated to one particular line under the most, prestigious toy line there is. I mean, toy brand there is in Mattel. So yeah, I think regardless, a nice 3.75 and a 4.5 for the booth. But shout out to Bob, Kelly, great PR people, very kind, very direct. Looks like we're gonna have some stuff to review in the future from them. So that's nice to take care of people that aren't 100 million follower influencers in your usual night. It's nice that they're looking to grow with up and coming podcasters and YouTubers as well. So that means a lot. Along with Jada Toys, Jazwares had incredible public relations PR at Comic Con. So I definitely wanted to give them a shout. But overall, we got a lot of good stuff, man.
Yeah.
We had a terrific. It was a terrific year for wrestling at Comic Con for sure.
Absolutely. So I think that's probably a great way to end it. So that's our show for this week. I don't know when we'll be back again, but we'll be back again. Uh, I'll be back, but I don't know when you'll be back.
That's always the joke that we have at the end. But hopefully sooner than later. This was an awesome show, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah.